It's time for the news.
The President of the Republic, Supreme Chief of the Armed Forces and Minister of National Defense, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has chaired a ceremony in honor of senior executives of the National People's Army on the occasion of the 62nd anniversary of independence. The United Nations has expressed concern at the escalation of clashes along the border with Lebanon and the occupied Palestinian territories known as the Blue Line. In Iran, reformists Mahmoud Pezeshkian has called for the unity, collaboration, and confidence of the Iranians following his victory in the second round of the presidential elections. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail from Radio Algeria International. Good afternoon. First, the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has congratulated Iran's newly elected President Masoud Pezeshkian following his victory in the second round of the presidential elections. The President of the Republic, Supreme Chief of the Armed Forces and Minister of National Defense, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has chaired at the National Army Circle in Bni Messous in suburbs Algiers a ceremony in honor of senior executives of the National People's Army, both active and retired, in the presence of senior officials of the state, as well as guests of Algeria among the friends of the glorious Algerian Revolution on the occasion of the 62nd anniversary of independence and the recovery of national sovereignty. A press release from the Defense Ministry indicated that the President of the Republic was welcomed at the entrance of the National Army Circle by the Chief of Staff of the nation's People's Army, General Saad Shingriha, the President of the Constitutional Court, the Prime Minister, and members of the government, alongside senior state executives, national figures, and mujahideen. The prize of the President of the Republic for the best exporter has been published in the latest issue of the official Gazette. The prize aims to honor economic operators in recognition of their efforts and their contribution to the diversification and development of Algerian exports outside hydrocarbon. The prize consists, according to Presidential Decree 24/202, published in Official Gazette, of awarding a commemorative shield and a certificate of merit each year to the best exporter in the following categories: industrial and pharmaceutical products, agricultural products, services, and exporters to the African continent, as well as the youngest exporter and women exporters. An interministerial commission or a jury is formed at the level of the Ministry of Trade and Export Promotion under the chairmanship of the minister responsible for trade or his representative. The jury is responsible for examining the files of the candidates for the prize on the basis of the evaluation system provided for in the internal regulation. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Mr. Ahmed Attaf, has had a phone call with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Immigration of the Sisterly Arab Republic of Egypt, Mr. Badr Abdel Ati. On the occasion, Mr. Attaf renewed his sincere congratulations to his Egyptian counterpart following his recent appointment as head of Egypt's diplomacy and discussed with him ways to strengthen the cooperation relations that link the two brotherly countries at various levels in implementation of the high instructions of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, and his brother, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. In this regard, the two parties stressed the importance of consolidating cooperation and partnership in the economic field in line with the enormous potential that the two countries have. They also agreed on the necessity of activating the High Joint Committee by choosing a suitable date to hold its next meeting as soon as possible. They also agreed to enhance inter-coordination regarding major issues at the Arab and African levels, most notably the Palestinian issue and the situation in sisterly Libya as well as the Saharan region. The Ministry of Religious Affairs and Endowment, or WAQFs, has announced in a press release that the first day of the month of Muharram of the Hijri year 1446 will correspond to Sunday, July 7th, 2024, while Tuesday, July 16, 2024 will coincide with Ashura corresponding to 10 of Muharram, 1446. A press release from the ministry indicated that on this occasion, and to perpetuate the tradition of the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, which consists of collecting and distributing zakat, the Ministry of Religious Affairs and Waqf put at the disposal of donors the bank account of the National Office of Waqf and Zakat, thus ensuring its organized and fair collection and distribution and contributing to social solidarity and cohesion. Internationally now, the United Nations has expressed concern at the escalation of clashes along the border between Lebanon and the occupied Palestinian territories known as the Blue Line. The World Organization highlighted the rise in tensions following an increase in exchanges of fire between Lebanese and Israeli occupation forces. According to the Office of the UN Secretary General spokesman, the latest upsurge in hostilities, which occurred on Thursday, increased the risk of a full-scale war. The UN office also stressed the need for restraint and said that escalation can and must be avoided, reiterating that the danger of a miscalculation leading to a sudden and wider confrontation in Israel. It also emphasized that a political and diplomatic solution is the only viable way forward. And in the Middle East, at least 11 Palestinians were killed and several others wounded in airstrikes carried out today by the Israeli army against Gaza and 2 refugee camps in the central part of the country. Palestinian sources were quoted by the news agency Wafa as saying that the refugee camps of Al-Maghazi and Al-Nusayrat were hit by the Israeli bombardments. The Israeli bombardments killed at least 87 people for the past 48 hours. Over 38,000 Palestinians have been killed and thousands of others wounded since the Israeli army launched its operations in Gaza nearly 10 months ago. Meanwhile, the United Nations has affirmed that thousands of Palestinians have been forcibly displaced by the Israeli occupation authorities and ordered to leave the southern town of Khan Yunis to seek refuge in temporary shelters and on the beach. In a message posted on X platform that was quoted by Wafa, the UN stressed that once again the displacement ordered by the occupation forces had forced the inhabitants of Gaza to seek security. Recently, the UN humanitarian coordinator for the territory, Sigrid Kaag, estimated at 1.9 million the number of displaced across Gaza and expressed deep concerns at the new evacuation orders issued by the Israeli army. According to UNRWA, 250,000 Palestinians have been forced to leave Khan Yunis so far. In the meantime, efforts are underway to try and pave the way for a resumption of negotiations in Qatar in order to secure a ceasefire in Gaza. In Iran, reformist Masoud Pezeshkian has called for the unity, collaboration and confidence of the Iranians following his victory in the second round of the presidential elections. According to the electoral authorities, he secured 53.6% of the votes against 44.3% for his main contender, hardliner Saeed Jalili. The second round of voting was marked by a 49.8% turnout, much higher than the one that marked the first round held last month. The deputy of the northwestern city of Tabriz, Dr. Masoud Pezeshkian, has advocated openness, speaking out in favor of constructive relations with the United States. Iranian Supreme Guide Ayatollah Ali Khamenei congratulated the president-elect, urging him to use Iran's various capacities, more particularly for the revolutionary youth, to move the country forward. The victory of Masoud Pezeshkian was hailed by the several countries, including the Gulf state, Russia and China, which said it was ready to work with the new Iranian president to deepen partnership between the two countries. Let's recall that the presidential elections were convened in the aftermath of the death of former Iranian President Raisi in a helicopter crash. And the UN Security Council will meet on Monday for a public briefing followed by close consultations on the situation in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, including the work of the United Nations Stabilization Mission in DRC, MONUSCO. The special representative of the Secretary General in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and head of the MONUSCO, Bintou Keita, is expected to attend the meeting, as well as the DRC and Rwanda, who should be participating under Article 37 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedures. And finally, the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has presented the Algerian Football Cup trophy to the captain of Sierra Belouizdad club, Sofiane Bouchar, at the end of the final match won by the Shabab against Mouloudia Club d'Alger, MCA, by a score of 1-0 at the 5th of July Stadium. The President of the Republic also presented medals of honor to the players and technical staff of the two finalist clubs and honored the match referees and signed footballs for each of the teams. CR Belouizdad won the 57th edition of the Algerian Cup by beating MC Algiers 1-0. A goal scored by defender Haddad at the 42nd minute, who had it in a corner taken by Ben Ayada. That's the end of the news bulletin, and now I'll leave you with this interview with Professor Mohamed Farjallah, Algerian national, settled in the U.S., expert in biomedicine and new medicine technologies. Have a good listen, and we'll meet you again tomorrow for a first edition of our news bulletin. Until then, stay tuned to Radio Algeria International, and bye-bye for now.
Listeners and followers of Radio Algeria International, welcome to this special interview presented by me, Nazir Hamrani. Today, our special guest is the Algerian scientist, Mr. Farjallah Mohammed. He is a professor of electrical and computer engineering at Marshall University of United States of America and epidemiologist for disease monitoring, prevention, and treatment. Hello and good morning, and thank you for your visit to our station. This is your first time to be here with us, isn't it, Mr. Farjallah?
Well, thank you very much. My name is again Mohamed Farjallah. I'm very pleased for the invitation. Thank you. And I'm happy here. I'm happy to be here to share with you. The potential would be if I would have been here in Algeria.
It's your first here in our station radio.
Yes, correct. This is my first time being here in this station.
Yes, let's open this discussion, Mr. Farjallah, in focusing on a part of your credentials and academic qualifications. You published over 150 peer-reviewed journals and articles, 2 books in digital systems and biomedical sciences, and currently you are working on publishing review textbooks for medical board exams and a book on general medicine. So could you talk to us more about your professional career?
Well, thank you very much. I was, of course, born here in Algeria. I attended school up to bachelor degree at the University of Hawari Boumediene, after which I went to the United States and pursued my education later on. So I had to learn English, of course, to get there. And then I attended the University of Texas at Austin, where I did my master's in biomedical sciences and PhD in electrical and computer engineering at the time in the city of Austin, which is the capital of Texas. My interest initially was in the design of microprocessor, dual microprocessor at the time. And of course, in order to do that, you have to have some background in neurology, neurosciences. I accepted a job after I finished my PhD with a company for which we designed medical instrumentations. And then later on, I decided to go to medical school because I needed to know a little bit more in order to design efficient medical instrumentation. After almost 5 years with this company, I selected to go to medical school, finish my medical school. Then I went back to academia, where I taught for the University of Tennessee, and now currently I'm at Marshall University, where I teach electrical and computer engineering, biomedical sciences, epidemiology, and all sorts of things related to medical sciences. Even when I'm in computer engineering, I do most of my research is focused on innovations in medical sciences. My current interest in essentially as a scientist at the University of Marshall is mainly in medical instrumentation, the inclusion of AI, artificial intelligence, in the design itself, and enhancing diagnosis, since I have a medical degree, based on what I heard, what worked best essentially for countries like Algeria is, in order to improve medical sciences where we can actually make a difference, is essentially improving the diagnosis for fast diagnosis, for expedite treatment, and maybe even do some local research based on epidemiology. My interest in epidemiology, by the way, is in disease surveillance, mostly chronic diseases impacted by drugs, impacted by patient, and essentially the patient play a role in their life expectancy and in the duration of the disease itself. But my primary interest right now is essentially in AI, epidemiology, and medical instrumentation.
Yes, your current interest now is about AI and epidemiology.
Correct,
yes. So, could you tell us more about your current interest in Algeria, in your country? Do you have some interest to come back or to return here?
Absolutely, absolutely. If I have the opportunity, and as I see it, there are plenty of opportunity to be here in the state, and to contribute. And I believe my contribution will be best in the medical field, especially when it comes to introducing AI, artificial intelligence, in medical diagnostics. And of course, the second part will be in medical instrumentation and epidemiology. Epidemiology in particular is chronic diseases that are impacted by acute diseases like COVID-19, for instance. The people who were most impacted by COVID-19 were the people who have comorbid disease like diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and what have you. So those are the ones that really felt the brunt of the disease more than anything else, more than anyone else who basically were able to survive the disease. But that would be a neat data to know and to prepare for anything in the future if something like COVID-19 happen again. While we know at least the people who we need to work for or to protect and what kind of protection we need to provide to them.
Yes. The introduction of AI in medicine means that the doctors and the scientists can intervene quickly to save patients. That's what you mean?
That is correct. AI is basically, the science behind AI is mostly provided for most scientists. So the best way is to utilize it in medicine, in my opinion. AI, of course, can be used in other sciences, of course, but it can be better used for sciences, in particular for diagnosis, expedite treatment, even searching pharmacology or pharmacy scientists, which we can do here in Algeria. There are many pharmacology that not very hard to do, and AI certainly will play a role in helping us doing that.
Yes, I think now it's mandatory for medical field, I think.
Well, not mandatory, but there are disciplines that use AI, especially radiology, for instance, imaging, for instance. Those they cannot do without AI, yes.
In order to save rapidly.
Yes, in order to at least diagnose, tell what the patient has, and then hopefully intervene on the right time and save the patient, yes.
Yes, so in this sense, do you have any project that you would like to suggest to your country in order to boost the medical field in Algeria?
Absolutely. We started a program in Marshall University on hematology, where we introduced AI interface, AI intelligence, artificial intelligence in designing an interface to essentially help hematologist, oncologist, cancer physician to perhaps diagnose better what it is, especially in leukemias and lymphomas, those areas where AI play really a significant role because the diagnosis will depend on how good you read the slide, the blood slide that you have. You can do only so much when you see it, even with a microscope, but the rest, the AI can absolutely help you in making the correct diagnosis, yes.
Do you have some patents in this?
Not in this particular topic. I'm hoping to have perhaps the patent, if there is any room for a patent for it, would be here in Algeria.
So you are ready to do it in Algeria?
Oh, absolutely. We're just looking for people to work with. I have a colleague with the University of Wahran, Siniya University, who works with a private hospital, who is much interested as well in this technology that we are working on.
Yes, we know that you are ambitious to return to your homeland. So, what is your main interest if you could come back to Algeria?
Absolutely. My interest, of course, is to enhance the quality of life here in Algeria. And the only way I know how to do it is in medicine, of course. And creating diagnostics applications, all that can be done. I mean, the goal is to figure out how to design a bridge between technical universities with the medical science. And all that is available to people who are doing technology. It's only now up to us to make that bridge between those two in order to create very smart, simple instrumentation. All that is possible because in old days it was very hard to create a medical device because you have to have essentially access to electronics and what have you. Now there is very little access to electronics. All what you need is a data acquisition system and a computer. You can design all kind of instrumentation. AI would help us do that, and I'm sure there are many technical universities here in Algeria who are perhaps that are way in the front of designing or improving AI models and AI methods, for instance. And for us in the medical field, it's not so much the AI itself, because much what is available, much what of AI knowledge is already available to us. It's just put it together and put it in a form that can be used to enhance the medical field. So it's not like we are reaching out to the skies. No, it's simply finding ways how to use what is already available in artificial intelligence essentially in the medical field, whether that's the instrumentation design or diagnostics or treatment or expediting treatment, and of course surveillance. Surveillance is very important to us to know what is coming, and there is no doubt there will be another COVID, whatever it is, or some sort of it that's coming. And the only way how we get prepared for it is to know how COVID-19 came in the first place and how we did to prevent it. So when the next thing comes, we have the tools how to prepare for it. In the case of myself, epidemiology, I wanted to know, I wanted to understand or perhaps study the impact of these acute diseases on chronic diseases. If someone has diabetes, that's chronic disease, that's not gonna go away, right? So the diabetes is gonna stay with them forever and ever. So what happened when they are diabetic and then suddenly comes COVID-19 again? So you wanted to know how to help them, whether it's providing drugs or helping them not to do the wrong things. That's essentially, back in America, we work on prevention. Prevention is what to tell the patient not to do, so to enhance their quality of life.
Yes. How do you evaluate the healthcare sector in Algeria?
Well, I mean, the medical sector is like any other sector in any other doctors. We work what's available to us based on the knowledge that we provide to our physician, and in the mean how we collect data. I'm very impressed by the fact that the government took the initiative essentially to put someone to be able to tell us what the epidemiology of the disease, essentially. That's what we need to do. At the end of the day is we need to collect data. We need to learn how to collect data and use it, because AI is only effective when there is data. Yes. So we need to know how to collect data. And I'm sure there are ways in medical school, which I don't know yet at the time, but I'm sure they are collecting data that can be useful essentially to become the engine behind the AI.
According to your statement, Mr. Frangela, your contributions would be highly valuable in medicine field if you have the opportunity to come back to Algeria.
Let me say this. If I have I'm sure there will be opportunities for me to come here to Algeria and participate, and I wouldn't mind teaching even on a visitor-based in any field that I'm familiar with, whether that is electrical engineering, computer engineering, biomedical sciences, or medical sciences. I do not mind participating. My overall goal is to help in any way I can to advance the medical field, in my opinion. This is the last thing for us to do now. Yes, perhaps we have some deficiencies in other sectors, and we're catching up with it as the world move on. But the only sector that we have to be very ready, and we have to do everything we can in order to be ready, is the medical sciences, in my opinion. AI, artificial intelligence, local design of medical instrumentation, epidemiology, like we're doing now, are the tools essentially to help us to advance the medical field.
So your final word or final message, Mr. Farjallah Mohammed?
Oh, absolutely. My message would be never give up hope. I think there is a lot of room for us to be innovative, especially in the medical field. Maybe in other sectors we're a little bit behind. We still have to do a lot of work. But in the medical field, we do not have any option. In the medical field, we have to be competitive. We have to be out there. We have the means. We have the scientists. We have the know-how. So I am very hopeful, and I think we are up to the level to be competitive with any other nation when it comes to the medical field, because we have the means, we have the people, we have the doctors, and of course we have the patients that we can collect data from and understand what the disease does and how to prevent it. At the end of the day, you can't help others if you don't help yourself. And the medical science is a good example of that. If you cannot help yourself, if you cannot maintain the health care of your nations, if your nation in particular, you can't help others.
Yes, coming to the end of this special interview, so we are very honored and delighted by your presence, Mr. Farjallah Mohammed.
Well, thank you very much. I am very pleased to be here, and I'm very pleased to participate in this discussion. And I'm willing to come anytime and say whatever it could help. But I'm very helpful. This is the way. This is the way to go. What the government is doing in regard to health is the right thing, in my opinion.
Yes,
right.
Of course.
Right.
Thank you very much for accepting our invitation, Mr. Farjallah Mohammed.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in. Take care of yourselves and stay tuned to our programs.